Hello and welcome to Saurav's classes. Today we'll talk about how to crack a personal interview. Having been part of several personal interviews myself, both as a participant as well as an interviewer, I am going to share all my experiences with you today. Now, what is an interview? An interview is to judge two things. What are those two things? Number one, what have you done? And number two, what can you do? The interviewer is not interested in anything else, trust me. Now, you might ask me, why is the interview required? Because I've already written in my CV what have I done. But the question is, you can write anything you want in your CV. Is that correct? Have you really done it? That is what I, as an interviewer, will like to judge. So, what have you done means three things. What have you done in academics? That means in your studies, in your work experience, if you have any work experience, and outside both academics and work experience. That means as part of your community, as part of your college, as part of your company, have you done anything outside work? So these are the three things that I want to judge based on what you have done. Now, academics definitely will mean that I'll be looking at your class 10, class 12 and graduation marks. And not only that, I will probably ask some basic questions to understand whether you have really done it or not. Work experience, I'll be asking questions around what you have done, how you have done it. How you have done it. This how part is very important. If you write that I have worked as a marketing manager in XYZ company, I would like to know what have you done as a marketing manager, how you have done it, and the impact that your work had on the company. So these are the two things that I would like to know based on what you have done. Same thing if you don't have any work experience and you are a fresh graduate but you have done some projects, and typically we understand that in a college environment a project is allocated to a group of 3 or 4 students, and more often than not one of them works and the rest of them are just baggages in the team, so to speak. So we would like to know what was your role, what did you do, or what was your role and how you did it. And also, if I want to commercialize the project, or that means if I want to scale it up, if I want to make money out of it, how can it be scaled up? How can it be scaled up, commercialized, etc.? So these are the things that will be asked around your project. Coming to the other part, this is mainly your extracurricular or hobby. Now, why is this necessary? Because it tells me a lot about your interests. For example, you are interested in design. You are interested in designing of softwares, or you're interested in designing of games, for example, or you're interested in trekking. Now, all this tells me a lot about what you can do, because if you're really interested in design and you have done some work on your own, you have read up books, you've spoken to people, etc., and you have a genuine interest, and if that comes out, then I know that probably you can be given an assignment on design, though you might not have done it. Similarly, if you are interested in trekking, I know that I can give you something which requires challenges, challenging assignment. You love challenges, and so on. So a lot comes out from your extracurricular. If you say that you're part of an NGO, for example, that means that you have organizing skills. If you have organized events, for example, in your college, it tells me you have organizing skills, so you can manage projects, project manager. So without even doing this, I know that you have the potential to do it. So therefore, these are the three important things that we would judge based on what you have done. Now, what can you do? This is a more difficult part for an interviewer to judge rather than what you have done. Now, some of what you can do comes out when I'm talking to you about what you have done. Like I showed you that if you have done certain things, I can understand that you're good at it and you'll be able to replicate that. But more importantly, when I'm judging what can you do, I have to keep in mind the roles that I have in the company. Now, what roles do I have typically? The first kind of role that I have is roles that are interactive in nature, which means that you have to interact with people. Interactive with people. And what are those roles? Those roles are typically HR, marketing, and sales. Now, these are the people who faces either the customer or the employees day in and day out, and they have to interact a lot. So what skills am I looking for? I'm looking for networking skills, or how well you can deal with people. That is the skill that I'm looking for. Next, there are roles which are creative in nature. Creative or innovative. What are these roles? These roles typically are R&D, designing, etc. So this is where I need creativity. Next, there are roles which are analytical in nature, like finance, like procurement, or even production. You have to analyze and take decisions. So here I need very strong decision making skills plus analytical skills. And the fourth type of role are the roles which are managerial in nature, where you need to manage teams, manage people, and you have to deliver results. So here the main skill that I am looking for is leadership and decision making, because here you are the leader, you are the decision maker, you have to make choices, you have to drive the team, you have to give them tasks. So all of this needs very strong leadership and decision making skills. So these are the four type of roles broadly, and I would try to analyze where a candidate will fit in based on his networking skills, creativity, decision making and analytical skills, or leadership. So these are the fundamental filters that I would put based on what you have done to assess where I can fit you. Apart from these two things, there is a third thing which is very, very important. And what is that? That is your behavior. and your principles or values, that is very, very important in any of these roles. And what are the main criteria in judging all this? So the main criteria are whether you're honest or loyal, whether you are able to handle pressure, whether you are resilient, which means you don't give up, whether you are able to say no when required, whether you respect others in a team environment. And how do I judge all of this? So, in order to judge all these things, we ask you situational questions. Situational questions like, what makes you angry? Or I give you a situation and ask you, what will you do? So, there are typically no right or wrong answers, but it tells me a lot about how you would respond in a situation. And that in turn tells me all of these things, whether you're honest, whether you're able to handle pressure, whether you're resilient, whether you can say no, whether you respect others, all of these. So situational questions is what we are going to ask you to assess your behavior, your principles, your values, all of that. We also ask you about your strengths and weaknesses. This is also related to the behavior. So all of this is very, very crucial to judge a candidate and whether he would be fit in the organization. Because even if you are extremely talented, extremely technically strong, but if you don't have the right mindset, if you don't have the right behavior, then you will not be able to work in our environment. And that is what every interviewer judges in a candidate. So I hope, guys, that this would give you a lot of insight into the interview process, what the interviewer is looking for, and how you need to respond and even prepare for an interview. In the next video, I'm going to tell you more details around what kind of questions you are asked and how you can convert an interview right from the beginning. You will be able to drive the interview and not the other way around. Not the interviewer will not be driving the interview, you will be driving the interview, and we'll tell you more about that in the next video. If you have any questions, please post them in the comment section.